Thank you for joining us. Straight off the plane from the Democratic National Convention, our guest, the senior senator from Massachusetts, Elizabeth Warren. Senator, welcome back to civilization. Although Chicago's a nice city.
Chicago's a nice city.
Pretty great.
It ain't Boston.
No, well, come on. After Boston, there's only heaven, as Cardinal Cushing once said. So,
he would know.
Yeah, he certainly would. So, you know, I've been covering your political career since it began. I've seen you angry. I've seen you impassioned. But I've never seen you brought to tears as you were Thursday night by the ovation you received at the convention. What was going through your mind?
John, it was a moment when I thought about all the people in that room, all these volunteers, people who got in the fight just like I did, because they really cared about something. They cared about access to insulin, $35 insulin. They cared about canceling student loan debt. They cared about seniors not having to spend more than $2,000 on prescription drugs. Those are very specific pieces. They care about gun violence. They care about immigration. That's what drew them in, or what we're going to do next, housing, child care. They were all there because they really have internally, we can build a better world. And for 12 years, I've been a part of that, and I felt grateful and felt a real sense of responsibility for where we go next.
Well, there's been a pretty consistent line of criticism of Vice President Harris that she's been vague about what policies she'd pursue in office. Now, when you ran 4 years ago, you issued lots of very specific policy positions. I've got a plan for that,
That's
right?
And you notice, I didn't win.
It didn't, yes, I was going to say,
okay,
thank you for doing it for me. It didn't.
I didn't want to embarrass you.
It didn't, well, it didn't seem to do that much good in the end. Do you think Harris should be more specific or not?
First, let me just say, let's talk about something like inflation, right? Serious problem, prices have gone up. We care about the fact that prices have gone up for families. Remind me what Donald Trump's plan to deal with inflation is.
Well, he's going to fix it on day one.
Yeah, he's going to fix it on day one?
Yeah,
Oh, that's right.
That's his plan.
I'm trying to remember, does it involve a magic wand or not? Because that's all I've heard about the details of the plan. Now, what Vice President Harris has said is, look, there are a lot of pieces that came together to cause prices to go up as we came out of the pandemic. And we had supply chain kinks. You remember that. We had the problem of the war in Ukraine had shut down access to certain commodity goods. And that one of the things that happened within that, as we clicked on through those higher prices, is there were corporations that looked around and said, you know what? We don't have a lot of competitors in our space. We can not only pass along the prices of inflation, the cost increases that we have to pay, we can actually jack our prices up a whole lot more. And I'm not talking about another 2 or 3%. I'm talking about 100%, 150% for some of these folks. And so what the Vice President has said is, let's go after price gouging. The American people understand that price gouging has been going on. And you know who else understands that price gouging has been going on? The corporate executives themselves. The guys, they have no shame. They get on these earnings calls and say, inflation has been very good to us. It gives us an excuse to raise prices way high and to increase our profit margins. And that's what some companies have done. She's proposed a way to deal with that.
Well, I want to talk more about that, and we're going to have to take a break in a moment. But when you look at that situation, obviously, you've been an advocate in some cases of aggressive antitrust action by the Department of Justice. Do you believe that in some cases price controls are warranted?
No, this is not about price controls. I think antitrust action, absolutely, because if you've got competition, you don't have that kind of problem. What the data actually show is the more concentration there is in an industry, the more likely it is during this last 3-year period that the corporation has padded its profit margins, that is extracted more. And so what price gouging laws are all about, and remember, this is not a new invention. About 36 states have price gouging laws, including Massachusetts. They're used in blue states and red states. Florida, Texas use them routinely, especially after hurricanes. The whole idea behind it is to put another tool in the toolbox that says an antitrust suit can take years, as we know,
right.
5, 10, 15. But if there is a specific problem, say following an emergency with price gouging, want to give the tools to the state AGs and to the FTC to be able to attack that head on. That's a real policy with real teeth.
So, Senator, last weekend we hosted a debate among the 3 Republicans who hope are vying for the nomination to challenge you in the fall here. Did you happen to catch any of it? Or no, not yet?
No.
You're going to cuddle up with a couple of beers and catch up on that at some point, I assume.
Yeah.
Okay. So John Deaton, who's one of the 3 candidates, said the following. Oh, by the way, full disclosure, I have a family member who works for a super PAC that is helping the Deaton campaign.
Is that the super PAC that has $2.5 million?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Maybe there's more than one. I really don't know. Anyway, he said during the debate, quote, referring to you, she's great at fighting against the rich and wealthy. That is not the same as fighting for the poor and the middle class. I want to bring people up, expand the middle class, bring people out of poverty. I can do that without tearing people down, end quote. What do you make of that?
No, I'm not really sure what he's referring to, but I will tell you something about this work in the Senate. And what an honor it is to go to Washington to represent the people of the Commonwealth. I think of something like the hearing aid bill that I got passed with Senator Chuck Grassley, Republican leadership. And that bill was about breaking the monopoly that a handful of hearing aid companies had. And the price of hearing aids across this country has now gone literally from thousands and thousands of dollars down to last week I was standing in the drugstore waiting in line, and I glanced over and there were hearing aids for $799. For me, that's what it means to be a senator, is you've got a chance to use these tools to make life a little more affordable for middle-class families. Let people build a little more economic security. That's why I'm in this.
All right. Listen, I do want to go back to what we were talking about prices and so forth. You and several of your colleagues are calling for an antitrust probe of a product that landlords use to set prices on millions of rental properties. You call it in your press release de facto price setting. And of course, Vice President Harris has proposed limiting rent hikes to 5% nationwide over the next 2 years for landlords who own more than 50 units. Well, Greg Ip, the Wall Street Journal columnist, relatively sober voice, wrote about this, and he thinks this is a bad idea. He says price controls are justified when a few companies enjoy market power, but those conditions don't apply to apartments. Apartment rents soared during the pandemic, then developers responded by building record new units. Thanks to that flood of supply, new lease rents are now falling. And he goes on to make the argument against it. What about that?
So let me explain the particular product that I've asked the FTC and the Justice Department to look into. You and I both understand that under current law, if you and I were landlords and there were 3 other landlords in the room, we can't all come into a single room and say, I know, let's set the price for a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,000 square feet. That is patently illegal, right? But what's happened is there's a new product in which the developer of this product says, I will go to each of the landlords and I will gather the information, I will look at all of their prices, and then I will suggest you should charge $2,000, you should charge $2,000, you should charge $2,000, you should charge $2,000, and you should charge $2,000. And the result will be that total rental intake will increase by 9%. That sounds an awful lot like price fixing through a middleman or through a computer in this case. And what I'm asking is I want the FTC, the Department of Justice, to go take a look at what's happening here, because you don't get to engage in price fixing and say, oh, but we didn't actually look at each other. The computer did it. Not good enough. If competitors, what are supposed to be competitors, are coming together in order to set prices, that's illegal.
I could talk about this at much greater length.
Okay.
Next time you're here, let's do that. I'm getting the wrap sign, but I got to sneak in one last bonus question.
Okay.
As you know, Bobby Kennedy Jr. is dropping out of the race and endorsing Trump. What do you think of Bobby Kennedy Jr.?
You know, I remember a guy who used to be an environmental activist and really carry a kind of sense of public spirit, but I just don't know this man, who has turned into a conspiracy theorist and a guy who kills a bear and leaves it in Central Park. I just don't know this person. And I don't understand how that was ever a serious run for president.
Senator, thanks for being here. Perhaps we'll see you next debating your Republican opponent this fall.
I look forward to seeing you.
Thank you.